audio, and now I get to talk about my team's attack balance. So I'm happy to see it in a 12. I thought I would be high, not necessarily at the top, but I think there's a lot of mons that, well, there's definitely mons that specialize which way they can go. It's completely equal each way. Drift Limb's equal each way. Ment is only a couple points off, both very high. Deoxys Defense is the same each way. Coco is actually higher physical than special, even though it's almost always run special. Cloister's close each way. Tangrow's close each way. Even Persian's close each way. I think Steelix, Hitmonlee, and Volcarona and Nihileo are the only ones who aren't close to equal each side. While some definitely more seem one way, it definitely makes a lot of sense that attack balance is up there. Now it's just up to me to get creative with it.
Yeah, you have a lot of fun things to play with, so I'm interested to see what you do. Not against me. Hopefully it's less creative against me. Next we'll go down to your speed tiers. Your speed tiers were crazy. They were really, really good. And again, I'll say my equation didn't account for Unburden or anything like that. So, I mean, they're even actually better than this. The speed on this team is really good. There's lots of setup speed here, too. Like, there's a lot going on with the speed on this team. There's a lot of speed manipulation. Tons of crazy stuff. You want to comment on that one?
Go fast, boys.
Gotta go fast. Alright. We'll talk about type variety. You had the least type redundant team. Good for you. You had the least Umami team. Bulk. You also had the best bulk score out of anyone.
I'm the least Sumamified team, but at the same time I have Silvally, so I can Sumamify one position at all costs.
That you can. That you can.
To be Ditto, but fine, I'll make it Silvally then.
Yeah, and then you had the best bulk in the league. Do you want to talk about that one?
It wasn't supposed to be this bulky, but blame Bidoof for taking my Mew, and then I went with Deoxys Defense to just make it
absurd. And then, okay, I can't remember which way you leaned. I think it was physically defensive, but your defensive balance was out of whack. Even though you're super bulky, I think it's gonna be okay, but you were very heavily one side.
Heavily defense, especially with fur coat Persian.
Yeah. So there you go. You had the best hazards in the team. In the league. I totally expected that from you. You always have one of the best hazard teams in every league I'm in with you.
Toxic spikes.
Yeah. And then you got a final grade of 6.7. It's pretty good. You were above average in every on average every category.
We're stupid. That's all I have to say.
Well, again, prove it wrong, man. Prove it wrong. You're here to be like, yeah, prove it wrong. All right. So here we go. Oh, there's Umami's surprise. All right. That was pretty good.
That's creative.
All right, we'll go ahead and move along here. This is Crypto's team in the Amityville Amphirox. He has got Kyogre, Magearna with a Z Crystal, Zapdos, Reuniclus, Amoonguss, Kabutops with a Z Crystal, Licky Licky, Mismagius, Lucario, Druddigon, Meowstic male, can only be male, and Swampert, Mega Swampert, that's its name. Couldn't remember it. Any thoughts here?
Well, first thing first, I want to know which one's named after you.
I think I'm Druddigon.
Irna, I win.
Yeah, you do. You beat me one-on-one. For those of you who don't know, Crypto named all of his mons after people in the league. 12 mons, 12 coaches. It's pretty cool. Thanks, Crypto. Thank you for not giving me a bad one, too. Alright, so any thoughts on the team as a whole here, instead of the nicknames, Coach?
It's interesting. go back and forth whether I love this team or I hate this team. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm
It's got
kind
a lot of mons I like, but I don't necessarily know how well they fit together. But at the same time, it's interesting. As he said, like it's Trick Room and Rain. There's not a lot in the middle except for like Mega Swampert, which is an interesting group to have in the middle, and he doesn't get very fast without the setup. Regen core that's scary and licky licky to wish to everything, like Drudagon who really likes wishes, and Kyogre who really likes wishes. And, I don't know. I really don't know. Because it's crypto, I know it's gonna be good. If it wasn't crypto, I might be doubting a little bit.
Yeah,
But
exactly. That was the same thought I had too. Like, we'll just skip ahead a little bit here. Crypto's grade was a 5.4. I'm pretty sure that's one of the lower ones in the league. At the same time, we've seen a little bit from Crypto, and he was very good from the things we've seen. So I expect him to still do very well, despite a low grade here.
yeah, like you can see why this team wouldn't score that great outside of synergy.
Yeah, like,
Dropping
I'll just
down.
say this. He was number one synergy by a mile. It was the most dominant category in the entire league. um, it was intense. But so, I mean, besides crazy synergy here, obviously it was the rain that gave it crazy synergy. Um,
And the regen core.
yeah, the rain and the regen core, licky licky wish passes to some of these things was again another really big factor. Um, the trick room also helped it. It was just crazy. Like, he built it around really strong pairs, which is what's going to make this really strong, because he's got a bunch of little different cores that he can run and can make it really complicated and mix this core with that core and not worry about it. And like, so he scored low in almost everything else, but I mean, at the same time, he's uh number 2 in Italic Balance, number 2 in Bulk, and number 1 in Synergy. Those are pretty good things to be leading in. Um, you don't know where stuff is ever coming from on this team. It's really hard to predict what he's gonna bring.
I'm looking forward to seeing him use Drudagon. To be real blunt about it, I think Drudagon is set up really nicely right now
I do
on
too.
this team. It's got good support in McGarren to help it out. It's got Licky Licky to help it out. It's got the rain that it can kind of cover for the weaknesses that the rain kind of gives the other team. And in Trick Room, Drudagon's scary. It's
Yeah.
so underrated as an offensive threat. It's got incredible coverage with Sheer Force and Mold Breaker. Sleep on Drudagon, but if you give it the right support, that thing is terrifying.
Oh yeah. I had Dredagon last season, and it put in work for the games I brought it. It was kind of crazy. Like, and I didn't give it any support. It was by itself. He's got tons of support for it. It's gonna do a ton of work. I was really surprised that he didn't score last in type variety in this team, simply because there's lots of water here. It's the rain team. Weather teams almost always score worse in type variety type things. He was actually towards the middle, which is kind of scary and weird.
It means he built a good weather team. It's like to build a
Yeah,
good weather team, you have to have your core, which can have some really need to balance outside of that because you don't want to just have rain. You need other things to go along with it. So I think he did a really good job of building a good weather team.
yeah, so do I. We're not going to talk about the cores so much here, like the elemental cores so much here. It's not as important on this team. Um, he's got average ones, but again, that's okay because he has such good pairings within this team. Um, it's not going to be that big of a factor. um, he's going to do what he wants. He's not going to care. He's not going to worry about bringing a Fire Water Grass, Fairy Dragon Seal, or Psychic Fighting Dark. He's just going to do what he wants. This is honestly probably going to be the hardest team to prep for all season. Um, and is honestly one of the teams I'm most scared of, especially with the guy who's piloting it. Yeah, that's really all I have left to say on this one. Do you have any final thoughts on it?
No, not really. I mean, I haven't faced crypto yet. I look forward to it, but with this team, I look forward to it a little bit less.
Yeah, Sam. I've never played him, and I'm scared that this is the team he has while I play him. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll move on. Next we have Lunar's team, the Illusionists. So we have Kiram White with the Z Crystal, Landorus Incarnate, Mamoswine, Arcanine, Swellow, Gastrodon, Zoroark, Torterra, Mega Altaria, Cresselia, Zebtrika with a Z Crystal, Talonflame. Any initial thoughts here?
Did Lunar and Crypto tie on synergy then? Because they're both 12.
Oh, that's a typo. Give me 1 second, I'll figure it out. Give your initial thoughts and I'll tell you what the actual one is here.
I'm looking at synergy for all of them now since mine was so low.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't love this team, to be completely blunt about it. Celia's terrifying because I had to trillion times last season while doing mocks for Sketch, and I never want to face it again. But the top 3 to me seems real weird. Mamo, Lando I, and Kiram White. All very good mons. Don't get me wrong. I kind of had eyes on a couple of them.
It's so type redundant.
It's type redundant, and Mambo does have thick fat, but it's also like it's got one common weakness along the 3 of them. Like you can't bring or anything like that, and I don't know. It's just weird. And then you've got 4 times weakness to ice as well. Plus you have Altaria, who's 4 times weak before it Mega Evolves, and then it's 2 times weak. I mean, yeah, you got Gastro to keep things from running HP Ice because they want to run HP Grass, but at the same time, ground types, man.
Yeah.
Why do you have 4 ground types?
So I'll go ahead and say this. His synergy score was actually an 8. That's what it was. It's just a mistake on here. The biggest one I want to point out here. Wait 1 second. There's actually a lot of mistakes on his scores. Here, let me read off his scores real quick because it looks like a lot of them got typoed. So for Lunar, his bulk was a 4. His synergy is an 8. His hazards was a 5. Speed tier was 9. Removal was 1. Fairy Dragon Steel is 2. Firewater Grass is 2. Psychic Fighting Dark is 1. Attack Power is 8. Support is 2. Bulk is 4. Synergy 8. Momentum 7. Attack Balance 8. Defense Balance 9. Type Variety 1. Z User 1. So lots of mistakes on that one.
That's probably completely different person's scores.
I think it's a mix of cryptos and someone else's. I didn't do this slide, so Mommy did.
Mommy.
So I'll just kind of go through it and point out the big ones then. First I'll talk about removal. This was a really big problem for this, especially with so many ice mons, flying, fire. His only removers are Talonflame, who doesn't want to come in on rocks, and Swellow, that doesn't want to come in rocks, and both of them have moveset syndrome when you want to put defog on them. Neither of them want to carry defog. That's a problem. This is a really hazard weak team with no good remover. Do you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, there's not like that are scary, but as a team, it doesn't scare me, to be completely.
Yeah, like there are mons I'm definitely scared of. Like Talonflame swept me last season. Kiram White is really good. Landorus Incarnate is really good. Mamoswine's really good. Mega Altaria is really good. Zoroark is always scary. Cresselia is annoying. It's just none of these mons really work well together. Is my biggest problem with them. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say on this. I'll just keep going through these categories for another one to point out. His highest score was his defensive balance. It was a 9. It's balanced out pretty well. It's in the top third. At the same time, there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of common weaknesses here. A lot of 4 times weaknesses here. Ice kind of destroys this team. Fighting's really good against this team. There's some problems here. It's not that this team is, like, bad. It's just not something I would want to play with. I would be kind of scared to use this as myself.
You know what mod destroys this team?
What?
Auroras.
That it does. It really does.
This team.
that it does. The type.
Auroras. I'm so sad they didn't give it Aurora Veil, but oh my goodness, Auroras destroys this team. I kind of want to pick it up a couple weeks beforehand, just for the sake of getting the chance to use it.
Well, Lunar, now you know you have to pick up Auroras at some point so that it doesn't sweep you. The one I will call out here is the type.
Get another ice type. Good advice. That's good advice.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean that if he had Hail on this team, I would like it a little bit better. But the one I'll call out here is type variety. By far, this was the most type redundant team. There's 5 ground mons. There was there's 3 flying types, 2 dragons, 2 fire. Like just looking at it, Talonflame and Mamoswine are completely type redundant in this team. Like there is no need to have them coverage wise or defensively to cover typings wise. I would be looking to move those 2 to something else that covers, ice a little bit better. Get another fighting mon in here, or get a fighting mon in here. Maybe grab another psychic mon because fighting puts a lot of holes in this team. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about this one. Do you have any final thoughts?
Lunar, that's all.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move on then. Alright, so next we have Bash. Forget. I'm going to keep backtracking as soon as I do this. Lunar got a 4.5. Moving on. Here's Bash. So Bash and the New York Muse have Deoxys attack, super scary, with his E-Crystal, even more scary. Regular Blaziken, Tapu Fini, Mega Absol, Cobalion, Porygon 2, Electros, Golurk, Serena, Garchomp with his E-Crystal, Quillfish, Toucanon. First thoughts here.
Toucanon has made it! I really wanted to draft Toucanon. Honor kept yelling at me because I kept mentioning I wanted to draft Toucanon. I decided to go Drifblim because it fit my team better. I'm so glad to see Toucanon get used. Thank you, Bash. Please use it well. Take care of it, okay? Second thought, I really don't love Blaziken out of the A tier. I know why it's there, but when we only allow Dry Baton Pass, to me, normal Blaziken just falls short. I don't love that pick. I think it hurts this team. There is fighting redundancy as well with Cobalion, who we picked really early compared to the other mons in its tier. But I think there's definitely elements here that are really good. I know he got sniped some. I don't know how much exactly, but Deoxys attack is terrifying. Z Garchomp is terrifying. Serenath, I think, and Quillfish fit really well here. Even though there is type redundancy, Quillfish and Fini and Toucanon is going to Beak Blast on you, and that's just going to be fun.
Alright, so the first thing I'll say here is this was like the most polarizing team. It either scored really poorly in a category or it scored really well. There's like almost no middle ground. That being said, I do agree with some of the things you said, but this is a scary team. This I think was the best score for the 3 tiers. It averaged a 10. I think that was the best one, or 3 cores. It was the best average amongst the 3 cores throughout the entire league. We'll just start there. Firewater Grass, Blaziken, Serena, Tapu Fini. That's a really good Firewater Grass core. It scored really well. They're all can be offensive, but at the same time, Serena stops priority. It's pretty bulky. Finny is a bulk monster. Blaziken is very offensive. I like regular Blaziken in Draft League. With Dry Pass only being allowed, it does hurt it a little bit, but I like the fact that you can put items on it. Like, you can put, like, Choice Band Speed Boost is always cool to me. Life Orb Speed Boost is cool.
Yo, just a second. I'm gonna interject for a second.
Go.
Why did you give this Marine on the priority that Deoxys defense doesn't want to take? Oh my goodness, what have you done on her?
Yeah, I didn't realize, I didn't think about that one. Like, I stopped Lele and Deoxys's, but I didn't think about, like, Bruxius and Serena. I was like, no, they're good. But, oh my gosh, yeah, I am now realizing that, so you have to play around that.
It's not broken, but it's scary.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just noticed that. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just go ahead and keep going from there. That's scary, be ready for it. Fairy Dragon Steel. Finny, Garchomp, Cobalion. Very good. The only thing that pulled it down from Brownlee being 11 or 12 is Cobalion was weak defensively, and like I said, Fairy Dragon Steel had defensive bias. Really good Fairy Dragon Steel core. Even better with Garchomp having Z moves. It's really scary. Thoughts?
I mean, Cobalion's super Spadeffy, so I don't think it hurts it that much.
Yeah, it just pulled it down a little bit. So that, like I said, it wasn't 11 or 12, but it just came down a little bit.
I like their Fairy Dragon Steel better than Firewater Grass.
Yeah, and like I said, there was a lot of weaker Firewater Grass cores, but there were a lot of really strong Fairy Dragon Steels. So that's why there's the difference there.
It's good. Cobalion covers the dark type moves that people want to use on Deoxys as well. This team is really built around Deoxys. Like, you've got Porygon to just switch into things. You've got Serena to switch into priority and just things in general. Cobalion covers a weakness. It's really a Deoxys or bust, it kind of feels like. Except for Garchomp. Garchomp's kind of by itself there too, but
it's like Deoxys is the focus with a Garchomp crunch, is what I was thinking. Like, you're gonna lean on your Garchomp crutch, sorry, I keep saying crutch, and you'll have Deoxys, and you'll have everything to protect Deoxys.
Garchomp crunches for the ghost types. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll go on to Psychic Fighting Dark. Deoxys, Mega Absol, Cobalion. This one was really good. There were just a lot of really good top-end Psychic Fighting Darks. In most leagues, this would have been the best one, by far. If a couple of us didn't spend our first 3 picks and most expensive picks on Psychic Fighting and Dark moves Amons, this would have been the best one, for sure. Also, this has a 1 in support, not synergy. Never mind. You have any comments on the Psychic Fighting Dark here? Well, we kind of already covered that. I'm just trying to think. Removal on this team was surprisingly good. Magic Bounce, Rapid Spin, Defogs. Yeah, it was really hard to stop these. I was really surprised this one didn't get first. That's what it should say.
I'm not. I mean, great. Toucannon's not really the best defogger.
Well, Finny's a great defogger. Is my main thought.
Good. The Mega Magic Bounce isn't near as good in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's incredible.
Yeah. And then we'll see captains. Garchomp and Deoxys attack. That's terrifying. Something is bringing a bomb every single week, and you better be ready for it with either immunity or hopefully you have something with sturdy, because it's gonna kill something.
Or you better hope you have a Deoxys defense.
Yeah, that too. That would work. Most of us don't have a Deoxys defense, though. Some of us do have some things that are not quite there, but we have some things. We'll get to those. Cresselia was drafted. Giratina was drafted. That one probably lives it. still, it's terrifying. Be ready for it. You better have switch-ins or hope that your switch-ins aren't already damaged, because otherwise they're dead. Alright, Bash cut is 6.9, and we're gonna move on from this one.
Let me just say one more thing
Go ahead.
here. I know it gives a ghost type, which is good. I don't like what Golurk brings to this team. I think it's kind of redundant speed tier. The double ground I don't think helps it. He's already a little bit ice weak. I think there's better ghost types for you than Golurk.
Yeah.
That's all.
I agree with that, and when I was looking at it, I remember thinking that too. That there was a lot of things that other mons on this team already accomplished, but Golurk did. So, I don't know, maybe that's a potential free agent at some point, but for now, it probably works, and this is still a really great team. It's a 6.9, it's one of the higher ones in the league. Alright, moving on. We move on to Kurt in the U-Turn Jazz. He's got Ho-Oh, Genesect, Kieran Black with Z, Mega Blastoise, Donphan, Chestnut, Frostlass, Necrozma with a Z, Togedemaru, Gramble, Miltank, Weezing. My first thought is there's a lot of big names that are like value in their tier type of things. Genesect was the MVP last season. Ho-Oh is crazy. Kieran Black is a value pick in tier 1. That's not often said. Necrozma, I feel, is kind of a value pick in tier 1. Miltank is a value pick, even though it got moved up this year. I think Blastoise is a value pick. I think Donphan's a value pick. There's a lot going on here.
Well, you know what's actually, like, I haven't seen all these teams put into their teams. I haven't really looked at a lot of them.
Yeah.
The low tier defense that this man got.
I know, right?
Like Weezing across the bottom's just like, we've got one switch in for it. Like, we'll pick whichever one's got the better matchup this week, and we've got one annoying as can be defensive switch into everything.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, that bottom row right there, that's really good value, just sitting there for defensive switch-ins. It's pretty cool.
Take care of Weezing and take care of Kieran Black for me, please. Please,
Yeah.
Kurt, take care of those for me. You can leave Sketch's Genesect on the bench every match. I'm fine with that, but take care of my boys.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk about this one. We're only going to talk about the one core here because it's the only one that really matters. The other two scored really low, so screw it. The Firewater Grass here. Ho-Oh, Mega Blastoise, Chestnut. Had it not been Chestnut, even though it's still really offensive, this probably would have been one of the best ones in the league. It still is one of the best ones in the league. It might have been the best. Mega Blastoise has crazy offenses. Ho-Oh's crazy offensive. Chestnut is still very offensive, just not quite there. But it's still really solid. And this is a really good Firewater Grass core.
Yeah, I don't have too many comments on that one. Mega Blastoise supports Ho-Oh well.
Yeah. Alright, we'll go ahead and move on. The one I want to mention here, and it's going to be like the first 7 I mentioned so far, the speed tiers here were really weird to me, and I'm really surprised it scored as well as it did. All of his top 3 things there are between 90 and 99, with very few really speedy things to help protect them. Frostlass was the fastest thing on this team, but it's really frail. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but besides Miltank, it's the only thing that's 100 plus.
Correct. And Miltank being your second fastest it's doable. I'm doing it right now in another league, but it's not ideal.
Yeah, so it was really weird that it scored so, like, middle ground in the speed tier. Not even that the people who scored lowest on speed tiers had bad speed tiers. This one just kind of confused me. So take that one with a grain of salt. This team is really easy to outspeed. It's also pretty easy to underspeed this team if you want to. Which is an interesting one I wanted to point out. Nothing here stood out particularly.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
I know I'm arguing the math, and that's fine because I'll debate with grand things all the time.
Go ahead.
This Fairy Dragon Steel Core.
What is it?
Hey,
Yeah,
how is it only a 3?
like I said, the Fairy Dragon Steel was like overall one of the strongest categories as a league. Grand Bowl pulled it down. I even factored in Intimidate for it. I didn't do it on most of them because I felt this tier was really good, or this core was really good, and I wanted to boost it. It ended up staying in the same place, but oh my god, this is a really good Fairy Dragon Steel core.
Dang, like, gives me. A second thought. I just talked about speed tiers and how Frostlass is their only fast thing. But I don't love Frostlass here.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like, it's the second ice type. Black already hits on the special side way harder as an ice type.
Yeah.
Because its special attack is way higher than Frostlass's. You already have a Spikesmon in Chestnut. Yeah, it's fast, but there's other fast things. You could use a ghost, but there's got to be another ghost that you could use as well. And like with Destiny Bond's nerf, I think Frostlass is overranked. It's so tempting because so often you get late and you want an ice type and a ghost type.
And plus, you want speed
But,
usually in those two types too.
Yeah, but it's not a value pick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a value pick. Like I said, there's a lot of value on this team. That is not one of them. It's hard to find things to say about this team. I like it as a whole, for sure. I like it as a whole. Just nothing super stands out to me.
One interesting thing to me is they have no defog to go with Ho-Oh. They have 2 spinners.
Yeah.
And good spinners, but no defog. So if you have a good spin blocker,
Yeah.
theoretically you could just keep those things there. And both those spinners are weak to the same type. So Delmai's spin blocker who can hit both of them.
Hey.
Free Ho-Oh. Bad day for you.
Well, to be fair, Ho-Oh can still switch into Stealth Rocks 3 times. And if it gets a Roost off, it's 5 times. So, if you're gonna have one fire flying one you're gonna not worry about hazard removal so much, it is Ho-Oh. At the same time, you still definitely want hazard removal with it.
Same time, it's not that fast, and if it's coming in at 50%,
yeah,
it's just an issue.
So we'll go ahead and move on from here. Kirk got a 6.7. It was a really good score. Like I said, cool team. Just it's hard to find things to say about it. So we'll go ahead and move on from that one. Next was Grape and the Killer Kartanas. We have Dialga with a Z, Darkrai, that one's for you, Coach. Victini with a Z, Mega Manetric, Alolan Ninetales, Machamp, Sigilus, Vileplume, Powdon, Kofarigus, Alolan Sandslash, and Slowbro. First thoughts?
Oh, never mind. Wrong thought. I think he's leaning too much on Vileplume. That good, and it looks like he's going to be leaning on that thing defensively and offensively as his grass type because he doesn't really have much grass coverage anywhere.
Yeah, except with Victini and Energy Ball, really.
So you might be better off to get something that could abuse that sand, and then I know you're left without a grass type, but I don't think Vileplume's your grass type. So I like the kind of dual weather element you could bring, but I would grab. I don't know. Was Stoutland drafted? I don't think Stoutland.
I don't think Stoutland was drafted.
Tier Vileplume is it 4 or 5?
I think it's 4. It might be 5 though. I think it's 4.
Okay. But yeah, like something like Stoutland or Sandslash, so kind of that cheap sand abuser would be really good for it, or even a rock type that could abuse it that way, taking the special defense boost. Something like that would be nice. And I know it's drafted, but like Aggron would appreciate the special defense boost for sure.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Steelix doesn't get it. Never mind, I'm stupid.
So it will be, I don't know. I don't love Vileplume here. I know Grape really loves Vileplume, so hopefully he will use it to prove me wrong. But he had it last year, and that's still my opinion. So
Yeah. Firewater Grass here's Vileplume held it back. Slowbro and Vikini's really great start. Vileplume definitely held it back. Even with the weaker Firewater Grass quarters that we had, this is still one of the bottom ones. Fairy Dragon Steel, Psychic Fighting Dark, they're both pretty average. They're right, and they were in the top half, but they were just in the top half. The one thing I'm going to really mention here is the only removal here, I'm pretty sure, unless Sigilif gets defog, is Alolan Sandslash with Rapid Spin. I don't know how that didn't score last. It should have.
Sigilif gets dog.
It does get defog? Okay, so that's what it was then.
Almost certain it does, but it doesn't want to run it like ever.
Yeah. Again, this is another team that's really hard to talk about. There's not a lot, like, it's scored pretty well, and I like this team as a whole. At the same time, there are things I would change about it. Like you said, I would probably drop Vileplume for a Sand Abuser. What was the other one? Machamp just felt like a weird fit. Like, it kind of felt like you were like, okay, I need a bulky fighting type. You shoved Machamp into a round hole and it was a square peg. Yeah. And do you have any other thoughts here?
Yeah, Heracross would have been nice there.
Yeah, Heracross I thought would have fit better. The bug would have helped a lot.
But when you didn't have another bug type, I think Heracross would have been good. Add the Scarf dimension to the Guts dimension. One thing that I want to mention, I don't love Z Dialga.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird pick. I thought Darkrai would have been a better one.
I actually think Alolan Sandslash needs it for this team.
Yeah, that was another thought I had, was either Alolan Sandslash or Darkrai.
Just doesn't do enough damage without a Sword Stance, but with 4 times weaknesses, it's hard to get that Sword Stance up without the Z moves. So you either better hope they misplay so you can get that Sword Stance up, and at that point you're probably not running Rapid Spin, or you're only have 2 coverage moves, which it really needs more. You really want those Z moves there for it to be more useful, and it feels like Hail is kind of an important part of this team. To me, I don't know.
Aurora Veil was so important to this team. Like, it was not even crazy. Like, I started doing some calcs just against some of the stuff that was drafted. Aurora Veil is desperately needed against a lot of things.
But at the same time, he doesn't have a ton that wants to set up behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Darkrai, I guess Sigilif could be maybe Calm Mind Slowbro, but like to me, Aurora Veil is something you put with setup, and there's not a ton of it here. I don't know. It feels a little awkward. It doesn't feel bad, and if with the right play, it can definitely be a good team, but it just feels awkward.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Like I said, I like this team. I can't find a whole lot to say with it, and there are things I would definitely change about it. That being said, it was a 6.1. That was pretty good. I forget where it ranks in the whole thing. I can't really remember, but it's not a bad team. I certainly still think it can win. There are just things I would change about it.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and move on. Next, we have Sumami. With the Seattle Slandit. He has a Veltal with a Z Crystal, Mega Lopunny, Jirachi with a Z Crystal, Gudra, Primarina, Decidueye, Darmanitan, Nidoqueen, Galvantula, Kamala, Crustle, Shedinja. Before I do anything, I want to make a note here. I made a so for the bulk score on this team, Shedinja like bulk scored 75 before I put any modifier in for Wonder Guard, and like I know Shedinja is technically super fragile, but only 5 types can touch it, so I put a big modifier on it. There are 19 types. It can only be hit by 5, so I multiplied by 19, divided by 5. it ended up with a score that was considered above average bulk. I want to make that clear when I say so. When we talk about the bulk score in its middle ground, that's why it's there. Without it, this score would have been a lot lower.
Can I jump in now?
Go ahead.
There's only one electric type. This is a miracle for Sumami.
I know, right?
And there's its highest type is 3 bug types, which is a miracle. It's good job, Sumami. You're getting better. You're getting better.
Yeah. Yeah, he only had the 3rd most Sumami-fied team. Good job. You're improving. Last season, that definitely would have been number 1.
That would have been like number 1 7 million times over.
Yeah. Well, so we'll go ahead and start talking about this one. We'll start with the Firewater Grass, Decidueye, Primarina, Darmanitan. Darmanitan is really scary. Primarina is really scary. Decidueye pulled it down a little bit just because it doesn't have like the greatest offensive stats. It's still really good, and I really like Decidueye. It's got a lot of cool stuff it does. It's just pulled
rolls, but I've never seen it really do anything well.
Yeah, exactly. Like it can be your defogger, it can be a pivot, it can be a priority mon, it can be a setup mon. It like does everything, but it doesn't do anything super well. That's its big problem.
Kind of, you could also say the same thing for Kamala.
Yeah, that you could. The wish passer, it's a spinner, it's absorbs toxics, stuff like that.
Slow U-turn.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and move on. The Fairy Dragon Steel here, Karachi Primarina Gudra is an awesome Fairy Dragon Steel. It scored very well, even in a league where Fairy Dragon Steel was very highly scored throughout it. They cover each other really well. Gudra has stupid shenanigans it can do, like Infestation. Coach will attest to the Hydration Dragon Tail set. Primarina is really cool. It's bulky and it hits hard. Jirachi does everything.
There's 3 Wishmons. I mean, there's one primary Wishmon, one that will bring it sometimes, and you're not bringing Wish Mega Lopunny very often, but there's 3 Wishmons that can go into Gudra and Primarina. I think helps them out a ton.
Yep.
Even Nidoqueen to an extent, but that's an important element to that core as well, because so Gudra and Primarina won't get too worn down. Jirachi actually, man, I'm so glad he changed his mind to take Jirachi here.
Yeah, exactly.
Jirachi fits his team so well.
Yeah, it really does. It's the glue that pulls it together. Like, without Jirachi, I'd be like, yeah, team's good. It's not the greatest. But, like, Jirachi makes this team is a headache with Jirachi. It's not really so much with, well, I mean, it's got webs, which always makes stuff harder, especially with some of these threats on here. But, like, with Jirachi definitely was the finishing touch that made it really good. So, go ahead.
That Psychic Fighting Dark is disgusting.
Yeah, so in a league where the Psychic Fighting Dark was really top heavy and was really good in a lot of teams, he scored second best with Yveltal, Megalopunny, and Jirachi. It's stupid. There's just like I did, he's got 2 Z crystals in that core. It's really scary. I think the thing that pulled it down just a little bit is Yveltal's 99 speed. I think that was what hurt it and what made it not number 1. That being said, Megalopunny with webs is terrifying. Yveltal with webs is terrifying. Jirachi with webs is terrifying. There's just so many stupid things that core can pull off. They cover each other insanely well, and like shenanigans. Like, I get ready for some Iron Head Flitches, some Oblivion Wings, some Nasty Plots, some setups, some high jump kicks, maybe even Drain Punches. Just, you gotta be ready for that. Like, I'd be surprised if there's a week that whole core doesn't come. It's just so well put together.
Yeah, this is literally the only thing I can really think to, make fun of this team for right now is the Crustle, because
yeah, I thought that was a weird fit too.
There. Like I don't hate Crustle, but I see the rock type, why that's Stealth Rocker, but there's other tier 5 stealth rockers. Shell smashes to not fast enough.
Yeah.
Probably with even webs up, shell smashes to still not fast enough. And like you have too many bugs. I know neither of them are the best. None of them are really super offensive bugs, but too many bugs.
Yeah. I'll say this team had the most momentum grabbers with like volt switch and U-turn, that sort of stuff. It had 5 when no one else had more than, I think 4 was the next highest one. It was the only team with 5. The defensive balance on this one I think was really skewed special. Yeah, special. That's all I really got to say. What was that?
Being specially skewed is the harder of the two, though.
Yeah, it really is. That's why it was so low on the defensive balance there. Yeah, it's a solid team that I'm really scared of. It lacks in a couple of areas, but at the same time, it like does everything pretty well except for like 1 or 2 minor things. Like you'll look over there. There's a lot of 5, 6, and 7s. There's not a lot of like 3s and 4s and 2s. In fact, there's no 2s. Yeah, it's a solid team. Scored a 6.3. It's pretty good. We'll go ahead and move on. We're getting towards the end here. You've been staying with us for a long time, and hopefully we're getting through this. We still got your attention. Splurge and the Breakneck Bracknell Beedrill. I hope I'm saying that right. It's either, yeah, I think it's Bracknell. Rayquaza with the Z Crystal. Tapu Lele, Mega Scizor, Halucha, Ditto, Torkoal, Rotomo, Garbodor, Melodic, Crocodile with Z Crystal, Rhydon, Lilligant. First thoughts.
Please double dance sweep with Rhydon and not get hexed out. Please show it's just me and not the Mon. Anyways, Rhydon last season got hacked so many times it wasn't even funny.
That did.
Yeah, Rybother. I actually haven't even looked at the scores yet, but this team feels super FizzDef and not very SPDef.
Well, go ahead and look at that defense balance score. It scored the best. It was Lele. You know, so what it was is this team was not very bulky, but like Torkoal and Scizor with Milotic, Lele, and Rotom.
So, like defensive though, and no SPDef. And that's,
see, the thing with this one was it was really back or forth on the defenses. Like there was no like universally good on either side or on both sides except for Rotom. But they balanced each other out in the end.
SPDef here, but anyways.
Yeah.
Intimidate and Marvel scale, which I know aren't factored in, but like to me, I mean, besides Quiverdance Lilligant, which Torkoal Lilligant will get slept on, but I'm bringing all my special attackers.
Yeah, that's your choice. We'll talk about the Firewater Grass here. I thought this one should have scored higher. Torkoal not being, what's Torkoal's special attack? Torkoal user.
I do use Torkoal some. I don't know. It's not super high.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The problem with this score, I mean, it's a decent Firewater Grass, but it's a tier 2, tier 3, and tier 5.
Yeah, and the other thing is, these are all solid mons, but I factored in coverages in those scores, and they don't have the best coverage moves. Was the thing.
Rotomo. I didn't even. If he has Lilligant, why does he need Rotomo?
Electric.
There's other Rotoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's other Rotoms.
There are other Rotoms. I would have picked a different Rotom, but at the same time, I don't know.
Rotom Heat feels better to me here.
It does. That way you abuse Sun again.
And Levitate for less redundancy.
Yeah. Fairy Dragon Steel here was stupid. It's the second best one in a really strong class of Fairy Dragon Steels. Mega Scizor, Lele, Rayquaza, stupid good.
That's good.
Especially with the Z user on Rayquaza, like you just bide your time with those other two because they're physically defensive and specially defensive. You take your hits and bide your time until you got the nuke button ready. Not much more to say about that core. Do you have anything to say about it?
I'm interested to see Rayquaza used. It's got weird stats for draft.
Yeah, it's
Like,
slow.
It's
People don't realize that it's under 100.
slow. Oh, I will never forget because random league and I thought it sped a Lugia. Nope, it does not outspeed Lugia. And I lost because of it. But it doesn't have the greatest defenses. It is a nuke button, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it out of S1.
Yeah, I thought it was like I like Rayquaza. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. It's like my favorite legendary for sure. That being
I
said,
love
yeah,
it too, but
I don't know how I feel about it in draft. It's too slow for what it is. It needs to be like 101. If it was 101, I'd be okay with it. The fact that it's under 100 really hurts it.
random.
Good.
I'm kind of jumping to Psychic Fighting Dark.
Go for it.
I like that he's got Halucha with a Tapu.
Yep.
Unburdened with the Tapus. I mean, I'm repping that as well. I think it's definitely Halucha especially gets really scary because it's probably the better of the unburdened fighting types. Sorry,
Yep.
Hitmonlee. I just know how to use Hitmonlee, and
These
I
are
have no
two
idea how to
Hitmonlee
use Halucha.
users. We are Hitmonlee diehards, and we think Halucha's better.
Dying because I love wrestling and Incineroar is my favorite, but I always suck with Halucha, but I'm scared of Halucha.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a really good. I think Crocodile Lele has some nice balance as well.
Yeah, it was a really good
More than 6.
Psychic Fighting Dark Core. It balances out super well. There's two good Scarf users there. There's an Underburden one, so it's going to be really fast at some point for sure. They all have good offensive scores, with Lele and Crocodile still being good defensively. Crook having Z moves is also really cool for that. It helps out. Again, bide time, hit the nuke button. I don't have much to say about that core other than that.
How I feel about Crook having the Z.
Yeah, everyone always puts Z moves on it. I don't really like it, but
I would have gone like he doesn't have a ton that screams give me Z moves.
yeah.
But to me, Lele, Rotom-Mow, even though I don't like Rotom-Mow on this team that much, and Halucha actually all kind of.
You know what?
Like Halucha's fast as it is. It doesn't always need to unburden.
Yeah.
And you can go Mold Breaker with that Z move to boost its power, because its power is not the greatest.
Yeah.
So it really wants that Sword Stance. But if you go Sword Stance Z move, oh goodness, run away.
You know what would have been a really cool Z mover? Would have been Ditto. Like, I know Ditto wants Choice Scarf, so it outspeeds the thing that you copy. But, like, if you can guess a move that, like, Pokemon's gonna carry, like, I don't know, Marshadow and Spectral Thief, and you could give it Marshadium Z to copy that, not that we allowed that, but, like, had that happened, you take Marshadium Z and blast Marshadow with Soul Stealing 7-star Strike, that would have been awesome.
Z Ditto, like something like that, but not in a league where we have to say this mon and this mon have Z crystals. That's more for a league that lets you put a Z move anywhere, or lets you pick one Z crystal.
Yeah. I just think it would have been cool. Like, that's,
100%.
I'm totally trying that at some point now. Maybe not in this league, in some other league that I don't care about, but it's happening at some point.
Crook Z better than Ditto Z, but
yeah. Yeah. I liked this team. I think it's cool. I think it's got its pieces that work well together. There are a couple things I would change, but I've said that about almost every team. Again, it's this coach. It's Splurge's team. he gets to do with it what he wants, and hopefully he shows us why he made the decisions that he did. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the save of this. This was a 5.9. Do you have any final thought? Go ahead.
Yes, I do. I want to talk about hazards for a second.
Go for it.
I like their hazards here, to be
I do
honest.
too. I thought it scored better than a 3. It should have been better than
Like
3.
Torkoal, Crook, and Rhydon, even though they all lean defensively instead of Spadef, but they're all really reliable stealth rockers. And then you add Garbodor being a really good hazard stacker. It's bulky enough that it can get up a couple layers of spikes / T-spikes. So I really like kind of the hazards that they bring to the table here. And Rapid Spinner being Torkoal is a little tough to hazard stack with, but at the same time, and not having a spin blocker. But I do like the hazards here, so I think that's a factor we have to watch out for.
Yeah, the reason I think the hazard scored so low is all 3 of his stealth rockers were weak to water. One of them was 4 times weak to water. So I think that's what pulled the score down.
No, Drought.
Drought does help it, for sure. I totally agree. I'm just saying, I think that's what pulled the score down. Alright, so we'll go ahead and move on to the 11th out of 12 teams. Alright, we have Sketch and his Winston Weaviles. Scary, scary team. So we have Giratina with a Z Crystal, Mega Diancie, Celesteela, Azelf, Shaman, Vaporeon, Base Shaman, that is, Sneasel, Electivire, Infernape with the Z Crystal, Nidoking, a lot of Ninjasks, apparently, and Slacking. First of all, Sketch, we know you love Slacking. You don't need to pick it every time, man.
Okay, we didn't make that comment to Sumami. We can't make it to Sketch.
That's true, and Sumami's actually picked Shedinja more than he's picked than Sketch's picked Slacking. So Sumami, you don't need to pick it every time either. There, I've covered my bases now. Go ahead, opening thoughts.
Asks. That's my opening thought. Manny, I drafted it like a week later. You went all Ninjas crazy. Okay, stop it, Sketch. There's no. I actually don't like Ninjas, to be fair on this team.
I don't like Ninjas, period. Like, I don't think it's very good.
Like Ninjask in leagues where you have Speed Pass.
Yeah, that'll agree with.
We have Dry Pass, and you already have a fast team. You need something really fast. Yes, its speed tiers blows the rest of your stuff out of the water, but you have 2 at 115, 1 at 109, another at 110.
I want to comment on what you're saying right now, actually. So we're gonna take an early peek at Sketch's speed tier score. This team was too fast, literally. Average speed on this team is 100.3. The next highest one was like 86. It was too fast for its own good, and it's really weak to Trick Room, is the big problem there.
Because what's its slowest? Selly at 61?
Yeah. And then I think it's Vaporeon at 65, and then I think there's a big, big gap.
To 87? To Nido?
Yeah.
In a speed off the top of my head, but...
So, yeah, this team was too fast for its own good. Alright, now that we've gotten past that,
Ninjask.
Yeah.
Leave them alone and get a slow tier 5. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. We'll go ahead and talk about cores. Firewater Grass, Shaman, Vaporeon, and Fernie. That's really good. I like that Firewater Grass. They complement each other well. You have any thoughts on that one?
Oh, I just said yep. Yeah, like it's good. There's not much else to say. It's a solid. It's not a spectacular Firewater. Infernape with Z moves is one of the best Z users.
Yeah.
So it helps it out for sure. Yeah, it's offensive water type, but that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
I think the only reason it's not like one of the best ones in the league is because Z and A tiers, and that's
Yeah.
a more normal, like, you can get that in standard leagues.
Yeah, like in a standard league, that would probably be like the best firewater grass in the league, or if not, like maybe the second best. So we'll go ahead and talk about this ridiculous Fairy Dragon Steel of Core, Giratina, Mega Diancie, Celesteela. Yikes! Go ahead.
I want to talk about